So let me tell you a story about a friend, Thomas Woodard, known as Wendell. We met at Buffalo State College in 1987. Didn't make an impression at all. He just stared from his dorm room door. His dorm room door was in Newman Hall at Buffalo State. At the time, I was a WBLS and KISS 98.7 radio mix show fanatic with an extensive collection of tapes. I was a hip-hop fiend in Buffalo, a place that didn't have access to the New York City radio mixes I had been fortunate to collect. Whenever I blasted the beginnings of my recorded radio mixes, Wendell would appear somewhere near, but only staring, with nothing but a blank face, no emotion, no head bobbing, just an emotionless stare. I said to myself, these Buffalo dudes are different. Though my roommate, whose name was Doug, cautioned me about befriending Buffalo kids, this dude down the hallway was different, an aura that was foreign. Eventually, we became friends when we shared suites. It was me, Arthur, Wendell, Bopper, Doug, and Keith. Doug was my roommate in the suite. During 1 year, I got to experience Wendell up close and personal. He was funny, crazy, and outspoken, and a little weird. Yet he loved to talk hip-hop. Usually, his unique perspective added humor to any tight situation. After 1 year in the towers at Buff State, I left. I joined the Navy. After my time in, I returned to Buffalo. Wendell was still there and accessible and crazy as ever. Now, the first time we hung out after I got back, he said,
"What's good, little boy? We turning corners tonight or what? Yo, you got BLS KISS mixtapes?"
I looked at him like, yeah, for sure. Then he says,
"If you got 79 cents, cop a 40, let's turn these corners and see what's happening."
Now, for years to come, we always use the terminology, let's turn some corners at night. That terminology, turning corners, was something we said, it was something we did to get away and be free at night and do whatever we want to do as young men. We turned corners for 5 years. In the process, we became great friends. We laughed, we joked, we did some naughty things. I got to know him at a deep level, and he got to know me at a deep level. Even came down to Alabama to visit. But if you want to know Wendell, how he talked, how he carried himself, how he communicated, I can only do it with a story to give you the proper perspective.
I got a story to tell. 8121.
Feeling down because neither one of us had a license or money. But Wendell came up with an idea.
"Let's get a piece of cardboard, write my license plate number on it, put them in the window, and turn some corners. Yo, I'm taking the risk, so you get the 40s. Let's roll."
We drove around Buffalo, blasting music, blasting hip-hop. Wendell's system was incredible. The bass would rattle the trunk and would cave your chest in from the back. We drove with 40s in between our thighs, music up, 40s down. Suddenly, as we drove past the old Buffalo Bills Stadium, eyes low, music up, the street was suddenly illuminated with red police lights. "Oh, ish."
"Relax, little boy. I'm gonna pull over. Put the beer on the floor."
He said this while staring in the rearview mirror with red eyes, but sobering quickly. I was on the verge of a panic attack. His face was stone and emotionless, just as he was back in 87, staring down the hallway. When we pulled over, the two cops walked to the car, splitting at the trunk, and each covering a window, driver and passenger. As they shined flashlights into our faces and scanned the car, a voice sternly said,
"You ran a red light."
"Let me see your license and registration." Wendell paused, placed his hands on the steering wheel, took a deep breath.
"I ain't even gonna hold you, bruh. I ain't got nothing. No paperwork, no ID, nothing."
In that moment, my soul escaped my body, as now I was fully sober and realizing the severity of this situation. The cop on Wendell's side got closer and said,
Is that beer?
Brutally honest, Wendell said.
Yeah.
The cop looked. Then he said,
Yo, did you go to South Park?
Wendell turns to the cop and said,
Oh shit, what up, homie?
the officer laughed and said,
Yo, take it home, bro. Straight home. Go drink on the porch. Yes, sir.
Wendell happily responded and started the car.
Boy, you still crazy.
The officer said as he tapped the top of the Canadian Hyundai with disrespectfully loud speakers.
And turn that shit down.
The officer said. As we drove back, Wendell didn't say a word. He didn't look at me. He didn't mention the possibility of going to jail. He didn't say anything about the beer that was in the car. He just drove. We got back to the house. We parked and we sat on the porch. After maybe an hour, Wendell, with this blank look on his face, turns to me and he says,
Man, I didn't even know that.
I said, what?
I ain't even know.
Get that off. He said he went to South Park. I said,
Probably did.
Wendell said.
Yo, how long has it been?
I said, yo, it's been about an hour. He go,
Yo, man, they probably off shift, man. Yo, let's get back out there and turn some corners.
what? This was Wendell, Thomas Woodard. Crazy, funny, everything. But most importantly, a great friend. Rest in peace, Thomas Woodard, a.k.a. Wendell / DJ Tomcat.